It is a dimension as vast as space and as timeless as infinity. It is the middle ground between light and shadow, between science and superstition, and it lies between the pit of man's fears and the summit of his knowledge. This is the dimension of imagination. It is an area which we call shots. Todd, Thor Ragnarok. It's a good movie.
What a wonderful opening.
It's a good movie. The end.
That's it. All right, let's Oh.
I'm rolling the credits on our podcast.
I respect.
No, but yeah, Thor Ragnarok. It's a good movie, Todd. We've both seen it, and we're here to report to you guys about it on Shots, which is essentially let's just be real. It's essentially just a movie and TV show at this point.
Do we just want to just say fuck it and finalize
that? No, because the only reason why I don't. The one and only reason why I don't. We've done 2 episodes since Nerd Bourbon's relaunch that are video game focused on Shots, and one of them is our most played thing ever.
Yeah, I'm honestly with you on that, because it's just like, you want to keep it open.
It's primarily TV and film, but like if there's a game that we really want to just kind of go hard on, then there'll be a Shots about it. I think that's sort of where we're at with it. But, with all of that shit out of the way, we have both seen Thor Ragnarok. We're here to do a spoiler cast about it. So if you guys have not seen Thor Ragnarok, just, we're going to give, what we usually do is we give our kind of quick spoiler-free thoughts for a few minutes, and then we move on. We give a clear spoiler warning, and then we move on into straight spoiler talk. So, Todd, what is your spoiler-free review of Thor Ragnarok?
Well, it's easily in my top 5 of the Marvel movies, nearing the top, honestly. And it's honestly, I think it's the most fun of the Marvel movies.
It's easily the most fun Marvel. It's so good. Like, it's so fun. Like, it's so fast-paced, and like it's so like snappy and funny. It's like, I think I made this joke to you. You asked me earlier tonight just sort of how I felt about it. And I was like, Guardians of the Galaxy who? Because it's just so it's just so much more like funny than Guardians, like.
Yeah, I will agree with you on that, because honestly I did laugh way more than I've ever laughed at the Guardians of the Galaxy 1 and 2.
The laughs per minute ratio in Thor Ragnarok is high. It's extremely high. And that's because, it's got like a great cast. Like I really like that they're leaning into Chris Hemsworth's like comedic abilities in this movie. Like, because he's a funny dude. Like, he has really good like comic timing. He's really funny when you let him be really funny. So like it's nice. Like, I like the this isn't a spoiler, but there's an intro kind of in the first like introductory sequence of the movie where Thor is kind of staring down this character, and he's like, Thor, son of Odin. He's like, you son of a bitch.
Yeah, that was
and
good.
I got the sense watching the movie, but I'd already read that a lot of it was improv. Like, a lot of the movie is improv. And
really?
Yeah. Like a lot of it is improv. And it's just the way that the director works. Taika Waititi, I think is his name.
Yeah.
It's just the way he works is he has a very like improvisational set. And so, yeah, a lot of that stuff was improv. And you can tell, like, sometimes you get the funniest shit from improv. Like, from what I understand, Jeff Goldblum's lines were essentially all improv. Like, he had basically no, like, hard-written lines. So,
God bless.
yes, and Jeff Goldblum's, like, awesome in this movie. I'm such a huge Jeff Goldblum fan. It's just, like, a delight to see him in this movie. But before we, just real quick, I think... I think I was even telling you, like, it's probably, like, you kind of asked me, like, what I thought of it or whatever, and I was like, it's honestly, if it's not my favorite Marvel movie, it's one of them. Like,
yeah, that's what I'm saying. I can easily say it's in my top 3.
It is easily, it's right up there. If it's not my, because, and I was saying this to you earlier, it's really, really hard to top, like, those Avengers feels. Just it's impossible to divorce Avengers from the lead up to Avengers. Like it's just, you just can't remove that. Like the lead up to Avengers and like going and seeing that movie and seeing these heroes, and it's just, Avengers is such a perfect like fan boner. Like I'll never forget that ever in my life. It was like April like 2012 or whenever the fuck it was. Like it was just perfect. Like seeing all of those heroes converge, Joss Whedon, like excellent writing, you know, and just seeing it just perfectly realized the way that you want to see it, and like, you know, Thanos at the end. I mean, it's fucking perfect, and like it's
yeah. Weren't you actually, when you were in the theaters, you actually had a guy going, "Motherfucking Thanos"?
Yeah, like that's why that moment, and it kind of changed the way I consume movies, because that moment where the guy in the theater, the guy in the theater is like, "Fucking Thanos," you know, that moment made me want to not watch trailers or consume much media about movies before I go and see them. So, with a very rare exception, I don't even watch movie trailers online anymore until I actually see them on the screen. Like, I just saw today, when I went and saw Thor Ragnarok, I just got to finally see the new Black Panther trailer and the latest Star Wars trailer. I hadn't seen them before. And it was awesome. Like, I love that experience.
Dude, by the way, I'm speaking of that, I'm super down for Black Panther.
Black Panther looks fucking dope. Like, it looks fucking dope. Yes. It looks really good. Like, that trailer, like, blew me away when I saw the Star Wars trailer. I was like, oh, cool, more Star Wars. Black Panther. Like, it looks really good. That ending scene of the trailer where he's like in Tokyo or something like that, man, good vibes for Black Panther, dude. I can't wait for that.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, definitely.
But yeah, let's move into spoilers now. I think it's safe to say Todd and I both really, really like Thor Ragnarok. Go see it if you haven't already, and then, you know, once you see it, come back and listen to the rest of this. So shit, this movie, what I love so much about this movie is the way that it like throws away all of the conventions of Thor movies. Like, within the first like 10 minutes of this movie, it's like, okay, Thor, you know, Hela's back, fucking Thor's hammer is broken like glass, you know, as Loki says. Fucking Odin's dead, you know. Fucking, you know, and then by the end of the movie, it's like, okay, Thor's, you know, got his hair cut in what is probably the best Stan Lee cameo yet.
Dude, yes. Can I just say that right now? That is without a doubt my favorite Stan Lee cameo.
Really, really good. And like Asgard is fucking destroyed. You know, like it just, the movie really smartly throws all of that shit away.
Seth, Asgard isn't a place.
It's a people. Yeah, and I liked that. I liked that. My one major criticism with this movie, and that it's really the only one that I have, because this movie does, I feel like a broken record talking about how with these Marvel movies, how like, oh, it requires a little bit of too much knowledge of the past MCU movies, because it does, and I still think that there are better ways to go about that. Because all these movies now have that problem. Every Marvel movie, like, there's like no such thing, unless it's an origin story, self-contained, like Doctor Strange, or I assume Black Panther, or like how Ant-Man was. Unless it's one of those, it's like, I swear to God, it's like impossible to watch these movies unless you've been here since 2008. You know?
Yeah.
Which is a good thing and a bad thing. It's amazing for those fans who have been there, like you and I, we've been there from the beginning, and it's great for that. But but you know, like if you weren't familiar with the events of like Age of Ultron, like this movie calls back Age of Ultron quite a bit, and if you're not super familiar with that, you're gonna be kind of lost.
Yeah,
I love the way this movie just says all that shit from the old Thor movies that were really kind of holding the old Thor movies back. Fuck that shit. It's gone. It's dead. Like, and that's another thing. I was texting Dan about this. I was like, the Warriors 3 are fucking dead.
Oh, killed the shit out of them.
They're fucking dead, like unceremoniously, just murdered. Like, I like that Hogan stood his ground. You know, he died with honor.
Yeah.
But the other two, fucking Fandral and I'm Volstagg, they just get fucking just destroyed in seconds, like, by Hela.
Yeah, legit, like, probably in, like, what, like the first, like, 20 minutes of the movie?
Like, Like, as soon as she enters Asgard, she just fucking immediately kills them both. And, like, I like that in a way because, like, it really gives Hela... I think Hela is so easily, with the exception of, I guess, Loki, is so easily the best villain of these Thor movies because, like, you know, because she actually presents a real threat and presents actual stakes, you know? I love how, like, this movie just doesn't give a fuck, and I love that about it. She goes into Odin's vault, and she just knocks over the Infinity Gauntlet that people poked at and pointed out in the background of the first Thor movie, and she's like, oh, that was a fake, by the way. She's like, fake, knocked it over or whatever, and then, like, you know, she sees the Tesseract, and she's like, yeah, that's all right, you know?
Actually, I was just reading something, is like, in one of, like, the earlier, like what things they were thinking about doing with it, like they were thinking about having her destroy the Destroyer.
Yeah, I could see her doing that. Like that's the kind of shit. Like she presents an actual threat, and I like that they gave us just enough of her to where like they gave us a little bit of backstory to where you can almost you don't quite see where she's coming from, but you almost can because her motivations are like, okay, like Asgard. You know, Asgard was not... It was built on... Basically, it was founded on blood and it was founded on death. And we're trying to whitewash it all and just, like, pretend like all this shit never happened. And Asgard's sort of original goal... She was Odin's right-hand, executioner. And sort of the original goal of Asgard was to, like, fucking take over all of the realms. And she's just trying to fulfill that.
Take over... legit take over everything.
Yeah.
Odin just decided to stop at 9.
Yeah, and so like and like Odin, as she says, he just like kind of flipped the switch and decided to become a benevolent leader, you know. But back then, Odin just was straight up wearing like the same kind of crown that Hela was, and I dug that. I thought that was pretty cool. But I also, you know, I like all of the new characters. I liked the little arc that they gave the character of Scourge. Played by Carl Urban is his name, I think. The guy that played Judge Dredd.
Yeah, Carl Urban. Yeah.
I really like him in like everything he's in. He's always like a standout side character. But I liked his little arc. Like I liked how I liked his two guns, Des and Troy. And I liked his little... He just had like a little mini arc. He wasn't in your face, but it was like he went from just kind of being like a pussy, just trying to stay alive and just trying to... You know, kind of changing alliances wherever he could until at the very end he was like, you know what, fuck it. And actually, I think his last words are for Asgard, and that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's he says that basically as he jumps out of the ship.
Yeah, and I loved like all of the new characters. I love we were talking about the character of Korg, who was great, played by the director, played by Taika Waititi. And he's fantastic. He's basically like this big, like hulking. Think of the Thing, basically, just made of rocks. You know, like this big hulking rock monster. But he has this quiet little Australian voice. He's just how you doing, man? You know, like he's the best.
You know, I think you're gonna piss a lot of people off. I think he's actually New Zealand. From New Zealand.
Gives a fuck.
Those be fighting words. Those that type of shit pisses them off.
Whatever. I don't care. So if you get offended by that, come on. It's the accent is very similar. I'm sorry. Whatever the case may be, he's great. He's funny, and I also love the character of Valkyrie. You know, like the movie does not like the movie's tone is never like in one place for too long. Like it isn't afraid to be funny, but it also isn't afraid to be serious when it needs to be. Like when you sort of get Valkyrie's like background story, very like almost stereotypical background story, right? But like the way that character is handled and the little arc that she goes on is just really cool. And I love the actress that plays her. Like she was funny, she was badass, man. And like yeah, I mentioned Jeff Goldblum earlier. He's fantastic. Like it's so fun to just watch Jeff Goldblum have fun with shit. Like that shit when they hit the button on the ship and it shoots the fireworks and it's like, it's my birthday,
I forgot about that part.
Oh my god, so good. And in the final post-credit scene, we stay until the very end with Jeff Goldblum. Man, he's so good in that. That was so good. I'm so
Yeah, I knew you. I actually saw Thor before you, so I was like, as soon as I saw that scene, I'm like, oh, Seth's gonna love this shit.
I'm obsessed with Jeff Goldblum. Like, he is so. There's just something about the way Jeff Goldblum carries himself. Like, he is so fucking charming. You know, like, he's so charming and funny. Like, without even trying. Like, if you just watch interviews with him, like, I swear to God, I've seen every Jeff Goldblum interview on the internet. My fiance and I are fucking obsessed with him. And we have like a little Jeff Goldblum shrine in our apartment, and yeah, he like just the way he carries himself and just the way he chews apart the scenery without really chewing apart the scenery. I gotta shout out the fact that did you realize that was Matt Damon in the play?
Oh no, you know what? I didn't. I did not.
Yeah.
I read about it later.
Yeah. Well, I actually kind of had that. I saw like a post that somebody made saying like, oh, Matt Damon and Thor. And so I came into it knowing that Matt Damon was somewhere. And with that knowledge, I knew that it was him, you know? That was such a great scene though. They're like reenacting the events of Thor 1 basically in like Loki's favor because Loki has taken over Odin's sort of seat, you know? And like you gotta give Anthony Hopkins a shout out, dude. For staying around for this long. Like,
holy shit! Can I tell you that like that scene itself was hilarious. As soon as he sees Thor,
oh, yeah, he's like, oh shit. But like, a big actor like Anthony Hopkins is still doing a fucking Marvel movie, like giving a Marvel movie the time of day and not phoning it in at all. He's still owning it, and like, and B like for those scenes, it's Anthony Hopkins acting like Tom Hiddleston, you know? And he kills it. Like, he's so good. Like, I love it. I love just seeing his ass, like, just draped over that sort of couch eating grapes and shit. Oh, it's so good. Like, he's perfect at that. Yeah, like, you know, it always sort of annoyed me, especially from Thor 1 to Avengers and Thor 2. I was sort of, like, going into... Like, after Thor 2, I was like, all right, enough of the fucking Loki stuff. Like, I'm sick of seeing Loki. Because we just got Thor 1, and Loki's, like, all up in it. Avengers, Loki's essentially the main villain. And then Thor 2, Loki's all up in that shit, too. And I think we've been away from that character for just long enough for me to miss him, you know?
Yeah.
To where it was actually nice to see the Thor and Loki interplay again, you know? And I like that. Like, yeah, Loki's always going to be like even Thor even says, you're always going to be the god of mischief, you know, and we're always going to have these, you know, quibbles with each other and blah, blah, blah. But like at the end, when it's all said and done, they are still brothers. And I do like, I like that running gag where he's like throwing shit at him because he assumes it's going to be a projection. And then at the very end, he catches it and it's not, you know, so I liked that.
Yeah.
Shit. Is there anything specifically you want to shout out?
Well, I'm going to shout out one, Doctor Strange in the movie.
That was cool,
scene.
dude.
That was a good scene.
That was cool. I didn't even know anything about that. Like, I assumed because you know, they kind of tease that in Doctor Strange.
They basically take the basically the scene from the ending credit scene of Doctor Strange, and boom, it's an extended scene in the movie.
Right, yeah. So they basically, like, that is a thing. And for some reason, though, I just didn't even piece it. Like, I didn't when I saw that card that said Bleecker Street, I was like, oh shit, that's right, Doctor Strange is a thing. And it was just cool to see him again. You know, like you almost forget that Doctor Strange is a thing. You know.
Oh, I don't. I love Doctor Strange.
Yeah, it's just really cool to see these characters. It's cool that we live in a world where Doctor Strange pops up.
Other thing I can shout out is Hulk's green ass, but
and the green penis that we didn't get to see, but Thor did. He's like, that's burned into my mind.
I'm gonna shout out this. I love the way they adapted Planet Hulk a little bit.
Yeah, it's got like that's sort of the whole conceit of it is like, hey, like, you're not really gonna get a solo Hulk movie, but you get a little bit of one in here. This is kind of a Planet Hulk movie, you know.
And honestly, shit, I loved the way Hulk was handled in this movie.
Yeah, there's the scene where they're kind of where Thor and Hulk are having an argument. It actually got me a little like choked up a little bit because like when Thor's like, nobody on Earth even likes you, and he kind of like throws his hands to the side like he's frustrated, like Something about that just kind of like put a lump in my throat.
Oh, do you know that hit Hulk right there in his heart?
Yeah, I was a little, because like I like that the movie does not shy away from like the events of Age of Ultron, because he's referring to like how Hulk like fucks shit up, in the first and second Avengers, and like it's nice to see that they aren't shying away from that. Again, I think these Marvel movies are really sort of leaning into the whole like, hey, you've been watching these movies for so long, and I think that it's both a good and a bad thing. And again, I know I sound like a broken record. Every time a new Marvel movie comes out, I always make this point. Like, I wish they were a little more standalone, but being somebody who's followed this character and being somebody like that's seen all these movies, I really like the way that they don't shy away from the events of those movies. Like, even Loki is still licking his wounds from the Avengers movies,
Oh, that's another scene I gotta shout out. When the actual like Coliseum fight.
Yeah, and when Hulk finally actually shows up and Loki's like, I gotta get the fuck off this planet, basically.
Dude, and actually when he does the same when Hulk does the same shit that he did to Loki to Thor, he's like, how do you like her? That's how it feels, or some
basically.
Shit. So good.
I like and this is really my only major complaint, because I said the thing about how I wish they're more standalone, but my only really major complaint with this is the whole sort of like big sort of emotional crux of the movie is like when Thor is fighting Hela and he's like significantly outmatched, and he had this moment in the Colosseum with Hulk where he sort of flashes back to Odin and sort of unlocks his like thunder god powers, in a way that we haven't really seen Thor use them before, which was really, really awesome to see. I love the way that was handled, because Mjolnir again was broken within the first like 10 minutes of the movie. So
yeah,
Thor, like, no, seriously, Mjolnir's gone. Like, Thor is not, like, he doesn't have that shit, and they make it work in an interesting way. And like, he's up against Hela and he flashes back to Odin again, and he's having this sort of internalization with his father, where he talks about like Asgard isn't a place, it's a people, and he says the line, he's like you're not the god of hammers. Yeah,
because he's basically saying like Mjolnir was only there to help you focus your power.
Yeah, but
it's not where you got it from.
Yeah, and the only thing, and I like that, and I'm glad that they did that, but I'm a little tired of that message now, because that is the same message that was in Iron Man 3. It was like, what are you without the Iron Man suit, basically. That was the same message that was in Spider-Man Homecoming, and I'm just a little bit like it's like, what are you without the Iron Man suit? What are you without the Spider-Man suit? What are you without Mjolnir? I'm just a little bit like, we can do a little bit better than that. But in Thor, I think it's the most excusable, because Thor actually has like some interesting narrative things. Like, if you told me just a few days ago that like, oh yeah, by the way, like in Thor Ragnarok, Mjolnir gets broken, Asgard gets destroyed, Thor loses an eye, gets a haircut, like the amount of shit that they just throw out the door, in this movie is so like brilliant, and I love it. And another thing that I really love about this movie, and the reason why I think ultimately it is, if not my very favorite Marvel movie, it's easily in my top 3. I love the way that it balances the different vibes. Like, you're on Sakaar, so it has like that kind of like sci-fi like sort of thing, and it balances that with Asgard, and it also balances that with like a little bit of like like you get a little bit of Earth in there too. It feels like at once a combination of like Star Wars and Mad Max and Lord of the Rings, like all at once.
Hey, it worked out pretty well.
And it worked out, yeah. Like, it doesn't feel forced or anything like that. And I love that about it. I don't know. I'm just kind of spitballing here about all these things that I love about it. I don't have any coherent thoughts. I just really enjoyed the movie.
That's really the bottom line of it, is the movie's good. It's fun as shit.
It's so much better than I even expected it to be, because I knew it was going to be good, like coming into it, like it had all these good reviews and stuff like that, but I was like, okay, it's just going to be like Thor movie, but I fucking loved it. Like, it's so smart. Great villain for the first time really in a Thor movie, except for Loki. And oh my god, when the fucking Willy Wonka Pure Imagination music plays, when Thor is about to meet Jeff Goldblum's character. Oh my god.
Yeah, that shit's real good.
Oh my god, it's so good.
Honestly, every scene with Jeff Goldblum is like pretty much gold.
Yeah. I love that the movie gives personal, intimate stakes to this character and his corner of the Marvel Universe in a way that I don't really feel like Civil War felt like basically another Avengers movie, like Avengers 2.5, basically. It didn't feel super personal to Cap. Like, Winter Soldier did. And Winter Soldier is another of my favorite Marvel movies where it feels grand scale, but it's actually quite intimate. I feel like Thor Ragnarok is the same way. It's grand scale, but it's also extremely intimate. It's like, this is what matters to this character and the way he sees things and his world, not the way that it impacts the greater Marvel universe. And I like that because that's kind of the point of these being solo movies. Like, coming out of Civil War, like, I liked it, but I think I like Civil War less than everybody else that I've ever met because I feel like Civil War should have just dropped Captain America from the title. You know, like, it didn't really feel like a Captain America movie in the ways that I wanted it to.
Do you think it should have just been called Civil War?
Yeah, just Marvel Civil War, you know? And then it just didn't feel enough like Captain America's thing. And Thor Ragnarok does. Thor Ragnarok has the big, large-scale world-building things, but at the end of the day, it's still a Thor movie, you know? And it kind of shakes free the shackles of the old Thor movies, and it's its own thing now. And, like, I will be looking... I'll tell you what, the next solo Thor movie, whatever that ends up being, I'm going to be looking more forward to that than any of the other solo, Avenger movies. Because Ragnarok was so damn good, you know. And like I said, it's just it's brilliant. It's brilliant. I really loved everything about it. Minor quibbles with the sort of overall message, but I still loved it. And I love I just loved the interactions and the interplay between all the characters and great shit. Great music too. That 80s kind of music.
I'm gonna shout out one more scene. Well, it's a couple scenes.
Okay.
Is the conversation that Thor has with Banner and the Hulk, and they're virtually the same.
Yeah, when he's like, I prefer you. I also really like how they kind of made fun of the sun's getting low, buddy. Sun's getting real low.
Oh, holy shit! He kept on doing that. Every time he was doing it, I was laughing my ass off.
He kept on doing that, and eventually Banner's like, "Shut the fuck up." It doesn't work when you do it, basically. Yeah.
Oh man.
Really, really good movie. I think I told you this earlier. I can't wait for this movie to come out on Blu-ray so I can just fucking watch it forever.
Oh, dude, that's just gonna be one of those movies that I'm probably gonna watch it a lot. Honestly, it's just gonna be one of those shit. It's, again, we've said it like countless times throughout this. It is a fun ass movie.
It's extremely fun. It's like a little over 2 hours long. It doesn't feel like it. Like, I got one more thing before we wrap this up because I think we've said most of what we're gonna say about this movie. Go see it. Can I just shout out how Idris Elba is peak sexy in this movie? Peak sexy. He is A-tier sexy Idris Elba in this movie. Like, you come for the Thor, you stay for the Idris Elba. He's fucking, that's one attractive man. Anyway, Thor Ragnarok, go see it. It's real good. Anything else you want to say before we wrap it up?
I'm good, man.
All right. Catch you guys next time. Get fucking dunked on. Bye.
See ya.